What's going on, y'all? Thanks for checking in with Callie. Please subscribe if you haven't already. So, at this point now, the Clippers are what they are. A lot has happened this offseason. A lot of good things have happened this offseason. A lot of bad things in some people's mind happened this offseason, for the Clippers. But, all in all, they still got their main key guy, which is Kawhi Leonard. And I say that because the Clippers are going to have to come to a hedge point of what they want to do with Kawhi Leonard in regards to how they're going to use Kawhi Leonard to get the best out of Kawhi. Because honestly, if you're not getting the best out of a player like this, it could be more so due to his injury, but it also could be more so due to the fact of how you're utilizing him as well. Now, have you heard me say in my previous videos that, Kawhi Leonard is injury prone? You've heard me say things like that. You've heard me say that it's hard for him to stay healthy. You've heard me say all the things that you heard maybe other media analysts say, along with what you've heard me say about Kawhi Leonard in regards to, his health. But you've also heard me say things like he's still a top player in the league. He still can be the best player on a championship team if healthy. And you have to know how to utilize Kawhi Leonard. And the reason why I say utilize is a key word in this whole conversation we're having here, because when you look at the other two teams Kawhi played on, which he won championships for, Toronto Raptors and, of course, the San Antonio Spurs, he had injury issues with those teams. Now, he only played with Toronto 1 year. But in that 1 year, Toronto understood everything that needs to be done to get the best out of Kawhi Leonard. They didn't try to push him too hard. They didn't try to put him in positions he didn't feel comfortable with, or positions that I don't think he should be playing, especially at this stage in his career with more injuries happening than prior seasons. And they just got the best out of him because the position they put him in, along with the rest of the team following behind him, was just a great situation overall. Take Toronto as an example. Toronto had him for one season, but he only played 58 games that season. He played just enough games, just to keep his feet wet, keep him, going, and keep him motivated, keep him engaged, keep him locked in with the team locked in with him. And the team was understanding that they had to follow behind this guy because they know what type of great player he is when he is healthy. To me, when healthy, he is a top 3 player in the league, and it's not even debatable to me. Now, me personally, I think he's the best player in the league when he's healthy. But if people want to debate, in my opinion, you can only go top 3, because I think he's just better than pretty much every other player in the league when he's at his best, because he affects the game in so many ways. Offense, defense. There's not a player that can do what he does in the NBA. Nobody has Kawhi Leonard's bag in the NBA. He's the only one that got a bag the way he does. Nobody else has that type of repertoire that he has. Nobody has what he has. That's what makes him unique. That's what makes him a superstar. That's what makes him a unique superstar type player, because even though he's quiet, his game has always done the talking. And when he's healthy, his game talks the loudest in the playoffs. So, with that being said, the Clippers have to figure out what they want to do with Kawhi. If you keep him, if you don't trade him to the Warriors, which a lot of people are speculating about the Warriors trade and all this other type stuff, which I think it might be a little bit of a stretch, a little bit of a reach at this point. But of course, anything is possible. But at the same time, if knowingly that they keep Kawhi Leonard the way the roster is now, with what they have now, you have to look at it from this standpoint here. So if you look at it from the standpoint of playing Kawhi fewer games this season, upcoming, and if there's any fines or anything like that, you take the fine. You don't even worry about it, because you got Steve Ballmer. He can pay all the fines in the world. If there's any fines the NBA try to throw at the Clippers because they want to question Kawhi's health or something like that, you do what you got to do, because playing him 55 to 60 games, you get the better out of him going by his history as a player. Playing 55 to 60 games, you get the best out of Kawhi all the way around, because there again, he's playing within the regular season. He's not playing back-to-backs, but at the same time, he's resting more. He's not putting more onus on his body. And that's proven to get him through a season and allow him to be more effective and play in the playoffs. Now, I'm not saying it's a guarantee that it's going to happen this time with the Clippers or anything like that, but honestly, it's your best shot with Kawhi Leonard. You don't have an opportunity better than that one or another shot with Kawhi Leonard other than that one besides take that route, really. Because that's, if you look at his history throughout his years prior on other teams, that's when he's been the most successful. When he played with the Toronto Raptors, he played 58 games that year. If he would have played 68 games, like he played this past season, he probably would have been the MVP of that season because his numbers were really good during the regular season. He just didn't play enough games to be considered an MVP caliber type player, which he was in the MVP conversation this past year for a little while, at least for like a month or two, because he was playing so well. But my point is, when you play him minimal games like that, it still keeps him engaged, still keeps him locked in, but it gives him a little bit more rest. Because we hear, or some of us have heard, that Kawhi Leonard likes to work out or overly work his body, which can cause injuries. Well, the more rest that he gets, the better he is long term. And I'm not saying it's going to work 100%, but that's the way the Clippers have to kind of look at this. You know what I'm saying? You want the better out of Kawhi long term, which is playoffs. So if you have to rest him more games in the regular season, give it a try. They might have done it before. Okay, but give it a try again because you still have him on your roster and you still, have a star player who can help contribute and put this team into championship, considerations just because of who he is and how dominant of a player he can be when he's healthy. And then another thing, as you heard me speak on previous videos, the last one specifically as well, don't have him playing the 4 position. He doesn't need to be guarding power forwards. He doesn't need to be guarding centers. That's not what Kawhi should be doing. Kawhi should be lurking around, waiting for mistakes to happen, causing disruptions, playing off the ball a little bit, rotating and playing the 3 position. That's really where Kawhi is really the most effective. And like I said, you get the better out of him because he's able to lurk and roam around a little bit more and cause disruptions, deflections and, get more steals. And he's just more active. He's just better in that role because that's really his natural position. The 4 position, he can play that. He can guard any position 1 through 5, really. But I mean, technically, to get the best out of him, having him in that 3 position, guarding the small forward of the other team, not the power forward in the center, he just seems to thrive a lot better when he has that option. That's just what I see, and that's just what I've been noticing about his game throughout the years. So I think that's another possible little tidbit there that the Clippers can utilize to get the best out of him, not try to have him do every single thing and then wonder why he's not healthy in the playoffs. Well, because you're not managing him right. Don't have him guarding centers. Don't have him trying to play defense and then, expect him to be great on the offensive end and still be a decent passer. And, what I'm saying? It's just you're asking too much of a player, especially the one that's older, has been in the league for 10 plus years. The more they be in the league, the less they need to be doing. Of course, they can still have a lot of onus on them because they're superstar players. But when you have other clientele who can do some of the things that you're asking Kawhi to do, it doesn't make sense. So, I mean, use your other clientele and allow him to rest a little bit more. And maybe that'll be the ultimate situation where they can get the best out of him in the playoffs. I think that's the only way the Clippers are really actually going to see this thing through to possibly get the best out of Kawhi Leonard. And that's just what they have to do. And Ty Lue going to have to just, swallow his pride and leave things the way they are in regards to if that's the way the tone is set for him to play 58 games, only play the 3rd position, kind of rest him a little bit more, then that's what they need to do. And if that's the notion going into this season, then that's what they need to do the whole season and leave it just like that, because that's the only possible chance you have of getting the best out of a superstar, great player that Kawhi is, that can help this team possibly at least get to a finals. Because he's definitely good enough to at least get this team to a finals. Honestly, he's good enough to help this team win a finals, if he's right and he can get everybody else to play their role. But I mean, that's just pretty much the route they're going to have to take. Now, I understand the Clippers, they have this new Intuit Dome and all these new toys and new things. Well, winning is going to definitely make these things look a lot more flashier and a lot more attractive. So with that being said, if you got to find a way to lesser Kawhi Leonard's games to get more of them in the playoffs, well, that's the risk you take. And there's no other way to look at it because, I mean, hypothetically, he can have a season or a playoff run like he did in Toronto for the Clippers if you play him 55 to 58 games. So I think the Clippers need to think about that. I think that's probably the best route they could take with Kawhi Leonard and hopefully keep him happy and then eventually maybe get another star player to keep him there long term.